In this video, I'll be using problem-solving techniques that I personally use during the interview or whenever I solve any type of a problem really. So let me show you how to do it right now. Here's my first problem. Your application prompts the user for an integer value between 0 and 100 and outputs the 8-bit binary equivalent to the user's integer input. And here's an example. Enter a number between 0 and 100, we have 23. The binary equivalent for 23 is blah 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 blah. Okay, so it sounds straightforward, but I'm not jumping directly into writing code in order to solve this problem. I'm breaking the sentence apart. Your application prompts the user for an integer value. Okay, so I'll stop right here. I'll put a dot. And now the sentence tells me that I actually need to create a variable, or I need to do something where I will be storing user's input. So what I'll have is create an int type, and the reason why it's an int type is because it tells me to create an integer type. A variable that holds user input. Okay, fair enough. That's a good start for me. This first part is done. Or let me just remove this dot. Between 0 and 100. Okay, another dot. And I can see that right now what it's asking me to do here is to validate user's input. So what I'll do is validate user input that need to be between 0 and can't type today, and 100. Okay, so if this were to be an interview right now, I'll stop right here, and even before continue reading the sentence, I'll turn around at my interviewer and I'll ask them a question. Can the user type in something else in here, let's say like an A, B, a name, or some sort of a garbage here? They can tell me that no, you don't have to validate for that, or sure, why not? Why don't you validate for those type of things as well? So I'll write that in here saying that validate for characters and different type of symbols characters. Okay, so now since we're done with this type of validation, let's continue with the sentence now. And outputs the 8-bit binary. Okay, so here I have two things for now. Outputs, so display, and that means I need to do some sort of a magic on how I can convert my number, integer number, into 8-bit binary. So first, I guess what I'll do right now is find a way to get 8-bit binary that is equals to the user input. Okay, and notice how I'm always being specific when I write those specific comments or tasks. I'm saying that it's equals to the user input. So I'm looking at the specific user's input. Okay, and the next thing, what we say, they're outputs. So okay, which means display, but let me also continue reading. 8-bit binary equals to the user's integer input. Okay, display the result. And what do we have in the result in there again? Okay, so we have our first number that user has entered in, as well as the binary number. So I'm just gonna say user input and the 8-bit binary. Okay, perfect. The first step is done, guys. I just broke down this little sentence into specific tasks that I need to do. And I just noticed that I can create one more task out here. And that is, when I will be doing a search on however this 8-bit binary blah blah value is, I need to store it somewhere. It needs its own variable. And that means I need to create a different task for it right above it. And I'm gonna say create so in this case, I don't know what type it's gonna be. Is it going to be an integer? Is it going to be a string? It all depends on once I'm done doing the search on what this part will return. So instead of saying an integer or a string, I'm just gonna say type, which is still unknown for us, a variable for the binary output or number or whatever we're gonna get. So create a variable. Okay, so that's good. And also this part is extra, something that is not in there. I'll probably make it into another task. And the reason why is because this is what has been required from me. This is what it should be. This is something that is nice to have for us, okay? And by the way, notice what I'm doing here. I have a problem and I'm going to the solution. We're not specifying what language I'm going to be using. I didn't say I'm going to be using JS or PHP really, or Java, whatever we want. This solution can be applied in any language that you prefer to use right now. So that being said, let's say right now I want to code this out and I want to use JavaScript. I have set it up a file and etc. What I will do right now actually is I'll copy this and paste it into my file that I'll be using it. I'm not going to be doing this right now. There is something I will leave it to you. But I'm just going to show an example of how I'm going to be using this right now. So once we broke it down, I'll start writing my code. So the first thing that it tells me is create an int type variable that holds user's input. Great. I'll say int user. Oh, I'm not going to say user input. I'm going to say user number. And by default, I'm going to set it to 0. And yeah, if I were to use a JavaScript file, I'm going to use let user number be equals to 0. And this is how I keep on going and solving the problem that I currently have. And this is something I do every day, even as I'm working. I'll identify the problem, I'll identify the result, and then little by little, I'll start breaking apart in order to get to this result. And at the end, this is exactly what I'm gonna get. So even though if it sounds difficult at first, by breaking down the problem, we'll easily be able to solve the problem, get to our solutioning. And it looks simple once we break it apart, because then we know that, okay, this is easy, this seems easy, this seems easy, this we still don't know. So it's unknown, so perhaps what we should do is maybe put this as a second after this. So let's probably do that. Yep, boop. Okay, find a way to get 8-bit binary that is equals to the user's input. Yeah, so this is going to be smaller research. So I guess this is the part that is unknown and that is the most complex out of all. And also depending on the language, maybe it already has a built-in functionality to handle this, maybe it doesn't. It's all up to the language you have chosen. So overall, using this technique, you'll be able to become a better developer in no time. And whenever you'll be solving different type of problems once you're in the field, this is what you'll be applying every day in your career. And actually, to be honest, this is what I do, and I have my notebook full of those things that I write every day, solve specific problem, and I hope it will help you guys. Thanks for checking out the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.